Holy bat music. Bang, bang, bang on the wall from dusk till dawn. Bang, bang, bang on the wall from dusk till dawn.
Greetings and welcome once again to, well, it's technically Bat Minute, but it's a hiatus episode where we're talking about other stuff. So we should probably call it something else, but we're not going to. Screw it. This is our show, not yours. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
Yeah, but I mean, there are minutes in this movie that contain bats.
There you go.
So, technically, yeah, fine,
Bats
totally fine.
minutes.
Yeah, I'm the other host, Niall McGowan.
Hello, Niall.
Hey.
Who would have thought that you'd be here, eh? To talk about a wonderful movie. We are going to be talking today about From Dusk Till Dawn, which you can imagine why we're doing that. But before we do press on, we are joined by two very special guests.
Hello. This is Natasha Kermani. I'm a filmmaker in LA and a previous guest on Bat Minute.
Woo! Welcome back.
I'm Zoe Cooper. I'm a screenwriter in LA. I've worked with Natasha on some things, and also I've never been a guest on the Bat Minute.
Oh, the shame. We'll have to have you on properly. But yes, you are joining us here to talk about, as I said, From Dusk Till Dawn. The connection, of course, is it's George Clooney. And
Yeah.
I would say, to me, maybe I'm biased, I think it's one of his best films.
Yeah. I mean, we probably should establish from the get-go, what does everyone here think of From Dusk Till Dawn?
Well, I would actually say Out of Sight is maybe my favorite George Clooney movie, but Dusk Till Dawn is definitely a close second. And may I say, he is looking especially good in this movie. I mean, he's always beautiful, but he is just really looking great.
I agree,
So-
because I normally think he doesn't look his best until he's a little bit older. A little bit of grey in the hair,
Yeah.
but he looks good here.
Something about the weird tattoo, all of it. It's just kind of 90s, peak 90s. Natasha likes the tribal neck tattoo. I gotta say I like it. I'm not saying I like it. I'm saying he looks good.
So what you're saying is you want to see that back in vogue. Okay, like everybody's going to be getting tribal neck tattoos now.
I feel really bad now because one of my notes was like, I love everything about Clooney. That neck tattoo has got to go, though.
So bad though that it circles back to being good again because it's George Clooney.
I totally
So
agree, and it fits his character.
Yeah.
Apparently, the tattoo was his idea for the character, and he swiped it from Once We Were Warriors, which is a Maori film, and it stars Tamura Morrison, who of course went on to play Boba Fett, and episodes of the Book of Boba Fett were of course directed by Robert Rodriguez, who directed this very movie. So,
Everything's
whoa.
connected.
Yeah.
Wow. But I will say, I really enjoy this movie, but boy, it is a hot mess. This movie is
Yeah, I actually didn't remember that aspect of it. I just seem to remember, it's like a classic movie. Everybody loves it, right? And I did have a great time rewatching it, but oh boy, it's all over the place.
This was another one to me of that, like, not knowing that. I was always of the mindset, like, absolutely everybody loves From Dusk Till Dawn, until you look it up on Google and you see it's like 60% on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff. You're like, what? What do you mean people don't like it?
I will represent the people that absolutely love this movie. I absolutely adore this movie. I think it is such a, rock and roll middle finger, good time vampire movie. One of my favorite vampire movies, even though you don't know it's a vampire movie until halfway through.
Yes. And you know what? The first ever time I watched it, I didn't know the twist. It hadn't been spoiled for me, so it blew my mind.
Wow.
What was that like?
You thought you were just watching a road movie about a sexual abuser.
I did, and I mean, I was quite young when I watched it, so I wasn't that interested. I was like, this is boring. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, what the hell is this? It blew my mind. The whole, as soon as they arrive at the bar to the end is what caught my attention. But as I've aged gracefully or disgracefully, I actually now really like the beginning as well. I think the beginning, that could be a solid movie on its own if you just carried on with that.
It feels,
Zoe has a theory, which she will now
well,
share.
it's not a real theory because I know the reality of this. My joke theory was that Quentin Tarantino had 2 short films that weren't quite long enough and he didn't know what to do with, so he put them together in the middle. But the reality is this is a Quentin Tarantino script, but not a Quentin Tarantino concept. It's a Robert Kurtzman concept, who wrote Wishmaster and some of my other favorites. But clearly the connections in this movie, this is a very this movie is a lot of special effects people in it. Tom Savini is my favorite character in it, and
Machine.
and Kurtzman, Sex Machine, and Kurtzman, who did the special effects for every 80s, 90s horror movie.
Yeah,
But
he's amazing.
I hear, rumor has it, that he did this movie with Quentin Tarantino in exchange for doing the ear effect in Reservoir Dogs for Tarantino.
Oh, I didn't know that. Like a nice little swap.
Yeah, it was a short film idea that Quentin Tarantino adapted in exchange for Kurtzman doing the ear.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, it worked out well for everybody.
And
Yeah.
How did Robert Rodriguez? Is this post El Mariachi and Desperado?
Ooh, I don't know.
I think it'll definitely be post El Mariachi because that was his like shoestring debut,
Right.
and this is like got a bit of money behind it at least.
Yeah,
Right. So it must be post Desperado even.
it's the year after. Desperado was 95, and this is 96.
95, yeah.
Dang. So he had a real good run there.
And then to be honest, it's not long from here until he does Spy Kids either.
Oh man.
I mean, you can see the through line to Spy Kids from a mile away in this thing.
I weirdly can, right? Because I think he just sat down and went, how do I take these crazy concepts I normally do, but just, make them for kids? It's the same, like, wild plot,
But talking about like the year it came out and stuff, though, should always remind people this is more of a testament to how rushed the production for Batman and Robin was, because that movie comes out in June of 97. This came out in May of 96, and it was through a poster of George Clooney, on a poster from Dusk Till Dawn that made Joel Schumacher go, "Oh, that guy could play Batman. That's my new Batman." And then, a year, 13 months later, the movie's in the cinemas. Which, like, I don't work in the film industry, but that seems like an insane turnaround to me to be like,
insane. Wow.
Especially for a big, important, high budget film.
That's the thing, though, with this movie to me is like, you were saying earlier that, like, Out of Sight being your favorite. And I kind of think that is when Clooney finally quintessentially he discovers the Clooney archetype of like the Danny Ocean-esque, he's a lovable rogue. And you can see little bits of it like in his Bruce Wayne, but it's still not quite there. And in this, it's like
hard. He's a little hard-edged in this movie. He's definitely hard.
he's like a prototype of that character, but he's still supposed to be really dangerous.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you're never worried about Danny Ocean or Jack from Out of Sight. You're like, oh, he's not going to do anything. But this one, and I don't know if it kind of took the teeth or the fangs out of this movie for me. Because watching it now, I'm like, that's Clooney. Clooney's not going to, friggin' blow Juliette Lewis's head off.
I don't know.
Like,
I fell for it even on this rewatch. I felt like he comes across, in some ways, the more dangerous of the two. Like, but he's not unpredictable like his brother. He's maybe capable of more, if you know what I mean. But he's not going to fly off the handle.
I always interpreted it to be that he is the one who cleans up his brother's mess. So he is fully capable and he'll do what he has to do, but it's never his decision. It's never what he wants to do. He's dangerous in the way that he's the fixer. He's the one that will do whatever needs to be done, but it's never his initiative. It's always his brother flying off the handle, and he's always cleaning up his brother's mess. But it comes from love.
Oh, and his
brother happens to be a psychopath, but yeah.
He's very he's like a realist. He's like, right, this is the situation we're in. This is what I'm going to do about it. I'm letting you know, if you mess with me, things are going to go bad. If you do what I say, everything will be fine. It's like, okay. And I believe his word. I trust him on that. If you do what he says, I don't think he's going to screw you over.
That ER, I'm a doc, trust me, I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
Energy. Setting.
Is it right that that's how ER is how Clooney and Tarantino met? Didn't Quentin Tarantino direct an episode of ER?
What?
Yeah, I believe so.
He did. I think he just wanted to do it because it would be funny.
What? Oh, now I need to find this episode of ER.
It's not as crazy as you might be imagining, I'll be honest.
Yeah, Tarantino does dip in. I think he directed like an episode of Alias, like guest starred in an episode of Alias. And then he did I remember he did like an NCIS or something at one point. Like he was just like, I'll dip in the TV. Why not?
He loves acting. He really loves acting, which is interesting.
Yeah, but very
that's
rarely.
That's one of the big questions for this movie, though, because for like a good chunk of it, the guy, he loves acting. He might not be the best actor, but he is one of the co-leads of this film for quite a bit. And it's like, I remember it being like, oh yeah, he's awful in this. No. And I have to say, this rewatch, I was like, because I found him to be so kind of awkward. If you just, that's the character.
Exactly.
If you buy into that mentality, it's like, oh no, he's actually pretty good in this.
No, I'm with you. I buy the character. He's not the best actor. I mean, rewatch Django, for instance. Good God.
Oh, God.
That's that Australian accent or whatever the hell he's trying to do.
I mean, even like his bits in Pulp Fiction is just like, come on, man. No. just hire somebody else.
But in this, his character's supposed to be strange and unusual, and you're supposed to feel uneasy and sort of off about him. And that works. That plays to his strengths.
Yeah.
Know how much of this character is based on Quentin Tarantino himself. Is this movie not what the foot fetish?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's
I
like.
It, but there is Selma Hayek.
I think those rumors had been flying. This is more like the culmination of it. Like, how many we get? Not only Selma's feet, but also Juliette Lewis.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Close up.
He wrote himself that role.
That's why it makes me laugh when he denies it. To this day, he denies it. He's like, no, that's not a thing I put in my movies. It's in every movie, Quentin.
Well, it's when you know it's there too. Like I remember distinctly the bit at the beginning. We feel really bad for that poor woman they take hostage.
Yeah.
As soon as they mention that he's a sex offender and Clooney leaves the two of them alone, you're like, oh god, she's not getting out of there. And then he's on the bed with his shoes on, and he says, "Take your shoes off and get on the bed." And it's like, that's the first indication that this guy, this is what he's into. Like that's his whole deal.
I have to defend his performance though. In that moment where he's Clooney's being the tough guy, the bad guy, and as soon as Tarantino is left alone with his victims, he's very much like, "Come on, watch some cartoons with me."
It's so creepy.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do that thing you asked me to do, Julia? Yes, I'd really love to do that for you.
What
She's like, what?
Say?
But he has these moments of being this kind of sheepish, soft-spoken psychopath, which truly I think he does a great job of.
I think that is something of his inner character coming out. I think maybe as a youth he was the shy, awkward, little nerdy guy.
Yeah. I think now he is like quite a reputable blowhard Tarantino. Like he's got the talent to back it up, but he does like big himself up quite a bit. So much to the point where like George Clooney gets to smack him around in this movie quite a bit, and I'm like, oh, that must be the life.
When I was in film school, I used to call all the guys in film school who wanted to be just like Quentin Tarantino, I would call them Tarantots.
Yes.
That was my little phrase for them, just trying to replicate the Tarantino. So those are Tarantino.
Oh, we're stealing that because as much as I love Tarantino on the whole, there are far too many people who want to be him, even to this day.
But he is objectively brilliant. His scene work, his the way he sort of creates this melange of genre, and we're all influenced by it. But yes, there's a little bit too much imitation, I would say.
By people who don't really get what makes him good as well. Like, oh, his movies are violent. It's like, that's not what they're about.
Right. Yeah, that's true. They're complex, yeah. Which I thought is interesting. Like, again, I'm curious how Rodriguez got attached to this movie. I'm sure there's some story that we could find about it. But because he is Tarantino adjacent, but then of course he's really got his own voice. His own.
Well, that's why we're going to have to expand this into a minute-by-minute project now.
Oh my god!
I mean, it really would be a show of two halves, because the movie, as alluded to, it follows that psycho structure, or what I would call like the 90s Simpsons structure, where the first bit of it is about something completely different than the end half.
Yeah.
That used to be the glory of the old Simpsons, was just like the beginning of the episode will be about Homer buying a trampoline, and then the end of the last 15 minutes is about a self-help guru taking over Springfield.
Yeah.
How did we get here? What the hell happened?
And how did we get here so fast?
Yeah. But I mean, like, even the tear through the beginning of this movie, want to just shout out, though, at the beginning, up until this rewatch, I had no idea that two, like, character actor legends are in the opening scene of Michael Parks, of course, great actor.
Yeah.
What's his name? John, he's so
John
great.
Hawkes.
John
Yeah.
Hawkes. Oh my god, I love him. Was that him? The cashier?
Yeah. Of course, from Marcy May Magdalene and Deadwood. He was like the Timothy Olyphant's kind of sidekick in that for
Yeah.
he was great actor. He was always my choice. Even though now we're oversaturated with Jokers in cinema. For a while, I was saying when people were doing fan casting for a new Joker, I was like, John Hawkes, just look at him, just look at that guy.
Yeah,
that's really great. I love that.
I can see it.
We need Jokers, so I agree. We'll find another role for him.
Although that was also Timothy Olyphant was a long time Batman fan cast for me, so maybe I just wanted a Deadwood reunion. Like in this.
I love Deadwood.
Plus, that's just because you and everyone else thinks that he's sexy, Niall. Come on.
Well, I mean, come on. It's like this Batman don't even wear the mask for most of the movie. He's just strutting around showing his whole face. But why would you cover it?
Well, you got to see that hair. Ooh.
Of course. But yeah, of course. Then the Gecko Brothers, Richie and Seth. Yeah, they're on the run. I made a note saying, like, are they any relation to Gordon Gecko? Because, the Wall Street types, they're bloodsuckers, too. I thought it might have been a joke they're going for.
I
don't think
genuinely
that's what
never
they were
thought about
actually-
this. Oh, my God, you've blown my mind.
I think maybe it's just Gecko, because it's like a
That's
desert
pretty good.
lizard kind of thing.
I buy
don't
that
know.
they're related for sure.
Distant cousins.
Yeah.
They're like the ones at the family reunions that everyone tries not to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, my God. It's got to be that. It's got to be.
But yeah, so like they're on the run on the way to Mexico, and they end up taking over. People I don't want to see the movie, but no, they end up taking a family hostage with all-star cast family of Harvey Keitel, Juliette Lewis, and some guy.
I know. I looked him up afterwards because I was like, oh, he must have gone on to some success, right? Because everyone else did. No.
He's a professor of economics.
Maybe he did this though, and he liked the movie, but was like, yeah, this acting thing's not for me. I don't know.
I mean, fair enough. Good for him. He went on, had a productive career in life, so I'm happy for him. He got out.
But
He got out of the cult.
But he's one of my favorites in the movie, so I was excited. Like, oh, what else is he in?
He's gone on to a more worthwhile career than that lousy old George Clooney, that wastrel.
Nobody remembers him.
But one of the things I found really weird in this is that it's that thing now as I get older, people, who I used to be infatuated with when I was younger, now all look way too young to me. So I used to have a massive crush on Juliette Lewis.
Same.
And in this, she really, really looks like a kid. I was stunned to find out that this is after Natural Born Killers.
Yeah.
Because I kind of consider her to be like, she's a full-grown adult in that film. And now, if you told me she was 16 in this, I would have bought it.
I could buy 15 even.
Yeah, she's crazy young. Appears to be crazy young looking in this. But I think she's 25 at the time or so.
Yeah, she's very youthful.
Yeah.
God damn it.
One of my favorite movies, Strange Days, where she it's a very adult movie. She looks super young. She looks like a teenager. So yeah, I don't know. She's got those genes.
Yeah.
How dare she? It's not fair flexing like that.
Yeah. I also did note though as well, because of course her major project at the minute is the excellent show Yellow Jackets, and the young version of her in the flashbacks is played by Sophie Thatcher, who's also in the Book of Boba Fett and was in episodes directed by Robert Rodriguez. So
Oh, I
that
love
guy's he's
separation games.
yeah, he's got the multiverse of young Juliette Lewis's going on here. Like,
The Juliette Lewis cinematic universe. I like it.
yeah.
I like it.
But I was, because it's been a long time since I'd watched this, up until rewatching it to do this episode. I forgot it was Harvey Keitel in the movie.
Yeah, it's that hat and the glasses do him a lot of favors because like, oh my god, you could have convinced me it was another guy half the time.
Yeah, and he's amazing, his character. So he's like a pastor who hates God, which I'm always into. It's like, oh, what made him lose his way? His wife died.
Character though, like he loves these guys that are like a single sentence characterization, right?
Yeah.
Like the pastor who hates God.
That's all you need.
The assassin came back from the dead. Like
It's a real it's an Elmore Leonard kind of like, yeah, just just whatever. Like it's a real the back of a stamp you could write down the characterization.
exactly, like collect them all, baseball cards. Yeah.
I actually think that's a good way to at least begin your movie. Do that, and then you can expand from there. I mean, obviously, we don't get too much expansion in this. You get little bits and pieces, but you want to start from a tiny little line.
I was really intrigued though in trying to read like any kind of subtext into this because you would have assumed that like, oh, he's a pastor who's lost his faith. He'll see the vampires, get his faith back, and then that'll save the day. But it's notable that he doesn't save that. He ends up dying as well. Like it's.
Turns into a vampire and then gets killed by his own son.
Yeah. And it's just like through the sheer chance of like the sun coming up. That's the only reason they escape. It's just like, yep, the sun's up. The scientific thing of like, well, the sun comes up every morning, so
but that's
we
a
made
victory because they held out until the sun came up.
Yeah. But it's also little things like you couldn't help but notice little things like them filling up condoms with holy water. And throwing them as it feels like it's making a statement in some way with like, oh, there's a lot of religious imagery kind of turned on its head here. And did you guys pick up anything of that? Thinking like, is it like an anti-religious movie or what's the deal?
No, I don't think so. I wouldn't say it for sure. It's definitely, what's the word? It's like, it's cheeky, right? Like, I think Rodriguez is not trying to make any big statement. He's just poking fun at it, I think. Because the good guys still, they're still like, they do what they need to do. I don't know. I think he just likes subverting the tropes, right? Like the cross shotgun, the holy cross shotgun.
Oh, that's the best thing ever. I think it's actually fascinating how, you mentioned subverting tropes and things, but like these characters who for the first half of the movie are, let's just say it, they're repulsive. You hate them. They're villain, like really villainous though, not like a little bit. They're not like anti-heroes. They're nasty. But somehow, by the end, you accept that George Clooney is the hero of the piece.
Yeah.
I don't know how we get there. It's crazy.
Well, he's always less bad than Richie. So, like, by proxy of Richie being there, I think, okay.
But even when Richie, we don't care about spoilers. We're jumping all around. When Richie turns, I felt kind of sad. Even though he's a repulsive piece of crap.
I think that's the point. I think that's what he was doing that's so interesting is the reason he spends 40 minutes making you hate these people is to then turn around and go, and then what if there's something worse?
Yeah.
There's a room full of vampires who, by the way, play instruments made out of human bodies.
Oh, yeah.
Thing about this movie, that human being bass is like the coolest thing.
But
I've
when do
ever
they
seen.
make it? Like it just it's
They
like
have
put
it
together.
storage from last night.
Oh.
It's fine. It's
Oh.
fine.
It's the costume change of it though. It's the fact that like, they see 1 second they're playing normal instruments and they're like, okay, it's vampire time. Get out the bodies.
This is the magic of the vampire.
Body bass.
I actually saw a thing just the other day of like an actual news story of some guy turned his uncle's rib cage. Like his uncle died, but he loved music, so he turned his rib cage into a guitar.
Wow.
It's like, I mean, I was kind of into it. Like, okay, yeah, if that's what he wanted, great.
If he came up with the idea, the dead uncle himself, okay. But if
I mean, it'll be very unsettling if like they were interviewing the guy for the news, and then midway through he was like, "Oh no, he didn't want me to do this."
he expressly told me not to.
He's like, "Are you from the Ed Gein family, sir?"
Yes, Roger Gein.
But yeah, the body base, as is the costume change, and I love also the inconsistency of the vampire look, and the inconsistency amount of time it takes for people to turn. Like that's something that would like, I'm so type A. If I was working on this script, I would be like, but wait, what's the logic? Why does this guy take 30 seconds and then someone else 45 minutes? Like,
Different metabolisms, baby.
I'm with it. It did get to me a little bit. I was like, wait a minute.
Oh,
What?
and if
Yeah, I was kind of enjoying it because, like, as it went on, it started reminding me of like the old line of like Ghostbusters toys you'd get, where they'd have like, it's a toilet ghost,
I
and
had
it's a
that one.
ghost that has
Yeah.
like a mouth on its chest, and it's like, yeah, these vampires are whatever the hell you want them to be now. This one's a dog, this one's a bat, this one's got the mouth comes out its ass. Like, I don't know we're just whatever, you know.
Well, I've got a question about the vampires. I don't know if anyone will know the answer. Right, it's such a unique look to me that I've not really seen a vampire that looks like these. I mean, the closest you could say is like a Nosferatu kind of thing, but it's not even really like that. Is it, if anyone knows, like a traditional Mexican kind of vampire, or has he just made them up?
I don't
I
know.
thought they looked kind of bat-like, or
Yeah.
inspired by the little bat faces.
Very.
But-
I also thought that some of them looked a lot like, I'm trying to get my years correct, but the makeup looked very similar to a lot of the bad guys in the Buffy TV show.
I was gonna say
Very.
they remind me of. Oh, I'm sure Buffy was influenced by this, right?
I'm sure.
Yeah. I think it must have been
But-
like, very early in production when this came out, because Buffy's like 97, I want to say, when that starts landing on TV. But
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there was
I mean,
the
these
movie
guys are
of Buffy.
more Buffy.
yeah.
Yeah, the show came out in 97. I'm not sure when the movie came out. Let's see here. Not long
I think the
before
movie's
that.
like 92 or so, but I know it is jarring to go back to, because
Yeah.
it's like the vampires just look like plastic fangs.
Yeah.
Like that's their whole thing. Like there's no transforming
Yeah.
face thing. You're like, oh, that's not consistent with the Buffy I know. But-
How dare they? They should go back and special edition it like George Lucas.
No,
Dun.
boo. What I say. Let it be.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I liked the design quite a bit, and I really liked the design of the like full vampires when we see them at the end. Like the fully vampired vampires.
Yeah.
I thought pretty cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the thing. Of course, then we do get to, eventually, after some time, we get a couple of very... I thought it was a genuinely creepy scene of... Because, you know, there's going to be some tension with what Richie wants to do with Juliette Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a moment where he is that psychotic and that delusional. He actually thinks that she is coming on to him. He imagines her saying things that she's not saying and stuff.
That's the big
Which is-
reveal to me of like, he's not just a creep, he's actually crazy.
Yeah. It's just so... That was more creepy than almost anything else that was going on. I was like, ugh.
It's like a moment of true psychosis that we're like getting a peek into, but then we never do it again. Like we're
Yeah.
never in
Mm.
again, which is just so like Robert Rodriguez stuff has so much chaotic energy. And I know I'm getting off track a little bit, but I feel like every time we try to put him into a box or something, like the more new stuff, you know, and it's like, okay, he's still there a little bit, but it's that just total disregard for like the rules of cinema. Like, sure, fuck it, why not? Literally one shot in Richie's POV and then never come back to it
But we
again.
do reference
Never again.
We never
True.
see it happen again, but it is referenced again. So
That's
the
true.
idea that,
That's
that
true.
he's a psychopath does have a thread line, but I agree. It
Sure.
would have been cool to see, especially in a world full of vampires, what that looks like from somebody who hallucinates perspective.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that would have been cool.
Although it-
All from Richie's perspective.
Whoa!
What? Sequel, come on, let's do it.
I mean, they made many sequels.
Yeah, but I'm not counting them. Who watched them? No one.
And there was a TV show. Did either of you guys watch the TV show as well that came?
It did not.
no,
It was
I
on
didn't.
El Rey, right? The El Rey channel.
Yeah.
Over
I
here,
thought
it was on Netflix because we don't get El Rey, but it was on Netflix,
Yeah.
and I intended to watch it and never did.
I was more shocked when I looked into it to find that, like, I assumed it was just like, oh, it'll just be set in the universe.
No.
It was like, no, it's about the Gecko Brothers. It's got all the same characters. It's like, oh, it's like a proper expansion of the movie.
Isn't
Like,
the first season like a remake?
I think so.
Are they as like villainous characters in the TV show?
I think so, yeah. And it adds in a whole lot of little details, like one of the big things most people remember from this movie is Tom Savini's sex machine and his crotch gun.
It's amazing.
With the, and you watch this and you're like, yeah, but the recoil on that thing's gonna destroy whatever's down there. Like, that's what a terrible idea to have that there. But within the TV show. But within the TV show, that character's played by Jake Busey, which I was like, whoa, now I do kind of want to watch it. And apparently they mentioned that his testicles have he got involved in a smelting accident, and so he's got nothing down there. So that's why he put in the cod piece. But so maybe they were like, we have to explain why his he's not liquefying with his nether regions every time he employs that thing.
I just assumed Tom Savini had balls of steel.
Exactly. He can do what he wants. It won't affect him. He's too cool.
Oh, that's because when they get, speaking of Tom Savini, when they get to the titty twister, the sort of iconic, demonic like strip club, looking at it, I was like, that would totally suit Joel Schumacher's Gotham. Like,
Yes, absolutely.
There was if just the Clooney mobile was drifting past and it was just like, this wasn't rated PG, we would have put the titty twister over there.
Gotham. You know Gotham's got a titty twister bar.
Oh, 100%.
I love the way as well, them going here, with the hostages, is them laying low. It's like, wait, there's flames outside. There's a man shouting about, I can't even say it on this relatively PG show, about, ladies.
Love that monologue. I was cracking up. I was cracking up. So
yeah. Cheech is like 8 characters.
He is, because he's at the end.
No, he's literally like 3 or 4 characters in this movie.
I was wondering at one point, like, did they want to get like, we'll get Tommy Chong in to play this other character, and then he's like, no, he's not available, and Cheech was like, I'll do it. And so he just came back in to do the
Why not?
part.
Just get him back. Yeah.
I was like, I can't play this part either. It's like, hey, I'll do it again. Like, the Cheech in three roles. It's more unorthodox, but I'll allow it.
And this is young Danny Trejo.
Oh my God, baby Trejo.
Yeah.
I have to say though too, Danny Trejo to me is actually no. I guess now maybe Nolan might change it, because I always got frustrated watching Christopher Nolan movies because he would employ Cillian Murphy every time, but give him really minor parts. I was like, just give him a meaty role. But now he is playing Oppenheimer in the Oppenheimer movie. So
destruction in this next one. But Danny Trejo is consistently great too. Like, even in this small role, he's so memorable and great.
Yeah, but that was my problem though, because eventually though Rodriguez does make Machete with him, so it's like, he does give him the lead role. But the amount of Robert Rodriguez movies where Danny Trejo shows up for like 3 lines and he's out. Yeah, I'm
immediately.
Like, come on, man. Like, that was my major frustration with the Predators movie, was like, you got Danny Trejo versus the Predator. Here we go. And then it's like, he's like the first one to die.
Yeah, but he dies in a cool way.
Yeah, but he could have died like later in the movie, at least.
Yeah. The movie should be Trejo versus Predator.
Yeah.
That's it. Just call it that.
Maybe now. Machete versus Predator. There you go. Like, I think at the end of the last one, he went to space anyway, so it was kind of going that direction.
He kept saying he was making a third Machete. That was the entire point. Where is it?
Trilogy?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be, because it was Machete Kills, and then was it originally Machete Kills Again? But then didn't he change it to like Machete Kills in Space or something?
It's coming out the same weekend as Guillermo del Toro's Hellboy 3.
Right.
Exactly. Didn't Machete come from that fake? Like, it was a joke, right? It was just part of the fake.
Yeah, it was one of the ads.
It was one of the ads, and people loved it so much that they were kind of like, okay, fan service.
The people demanded.
They did, and let me tell you, as one of those people demanding it, the finished product, I felt it lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
I adore the second one, not so much, but the first one.
one. I don't think I saw the second one, although they may blend in my brain.
Yeah, the second one's. It takes the concept a bit too over the top, which sounds insane. How can you go too over the top? Lady Gaga's good in it, but she's barely in it.
I think I remember one of the main things I remember from it at the end is like Michelle Rodriguez getting frozen in carbonite, and I've been like, "That's the cliffhanger." Yeah. I've been like, "You're seriously doing this?" But hey, I guess again, preamble to his work on the Mandalorian and that's right. Boba Fett as well.
They saw that and were like, "That's the guy we need for Star Wars."
So why isn't Michelle Rodriguez? Excuse me. Why isn't Michelle Rodriguez in Mandalorian? Like, she would be fucking great in that world.
Oh my god, yeah. Like, I know, obviously, there was a bit of controversy with Gina Carano and whatnot.
Yeah.
But if you want a similar type of character,
she's totally badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's cool.
Although I know they had a whole thing with I think people were gunning for Lucy Lawless, and Lucy Lawless came out and said if I was to take that part, it would be people would just be distracted by knowing that was why I took it the whole time. I don't know if she's kind of put the kibosh on it. People have been like, oh yeah, she's right. Everyone would be really focused on that's supposed to be Cara Dune, but it's obviously not, and then would take them out of the show maybe. But
it's a tough one.
Well,
I don't know.
Lucy Lawless has her own character. I mean, I would buy her as one of the OG Mandalorian houses, but anyway, now we're to Star Wars fandom. But I just want to say I would love to see Ming Na and Michelle Rodriguez in a space battle in the end.
Hell yes, absolutely,
100%. Yeah.
But where were we? Oh, we were just kind of scanning through this. They arrived at the bar. I thought one thing that I liked about Clooney's character when they get to the bar and they're pretending to lay low, he buys everyone a drink. And I thought that actually did say a lot about who he is as a person, because yes, he's a criminal, but even the hostages, he's like, you're gonna have a drink with me. Now, granted, he does kind of force them into having a drink with him at one point, but still, Sorry,
he has an interesting moment where they get him through the border, and they don't have to do that. They do. I mean, they kind of do have to do that, but the point is, there was an opportunity for Keitel to sell them out. And Harvey Keitel didn't, because he wanted to handle it in a different way. And in doing so, he earned the trust of their captors. And I think that it's an interesting tactic, because that's what sort of bonds them together right before going and revealing the big bad, right? So in this moment, you have sorry, I don't think I can say that. You have a screwed up little family. And even though they have their differences and their disagreements, and some are genuinely bad people, we have to get them all on the same side, aligned together before the vampire reveal. So that's the purpose between Keitel getting him through the checkpoint and then George Clooney saying, I appreciate that, let me buy you a drink. It's so that we understand them as a unit before the vampires show up.
It's clever. And it's really smart. I really, really like that they do that, because it's like a small thing. Like, obviously they're not going to be best friends. They're a hostage, but it's kind of like, well, I know you're not a bad guy at heart. You're not doing this to punish me, Harvey Keitel. You're doing this because you feel you have to do this, and that's okay. I think
my only beef with the whole scene was just Clooney's reckless use of other people's glasses. He's slamming those glasses into that table. It's like, dude, come on, you don't own those. You're gonna smash them.
Hey,
there's glass everywhere.
Some people are really into that with shots, aren't they? They slam the glass. I've never really understood that. Just drink your drink.
Yeah, but he'll do it once and then come back and no, it's not enough, and do it 3 times again after. It's like, no, look, one time I can excuse, but 4 in a row? No, man. You've been reckless. Maybe this is what, I guess he is a criminal.
Exactly.
So maybe I should do
As somebody who's a former bartender and who has quite often played the game of slamming as many shots as you can, my main concern was it's not how many can you take, it's how are you going to make it till dawn? You're going to black out so fast.
That's the thing. I can drink a lot, but if I'm drinking that much, oh my God, I'm going to last an hour.
Yeah. I think as soon as the concept of shots appears, I'm always like, oh, good. It's like, I know my pace.
It's from dusk till 10:30 p.m.
Yeah. That's good enough. That's fine. They just sleep in the corner,
What else? content is just an absolute delight for the vampires.
Yeah.
They're getting a little buzz with their meal.
Oh.
It's great.
Oh, I wonder though, if your blood alcohol level was too high, would it be like impure blood? Would they not like it?
I don't think so. I think they love it. I
Isn't
think they love the.
Isn't there some vampire movie? What am I thinking of? True Blood or something? Isn't there a vampire movie where they make cocktails with blood? What am I thinking?
I think that's True Blood, isn't it? They make a drink in that, at least, yeah.
I believe that would be a True Blood thing.
Crossover time. True Blood meets From Dusk Till Dawn.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Why not?
Stars-
Why not?
That's Northman.
I was
So
going to say, but
it's
Skarsgård is from the Northman.
Skarsgård in the True Blood universe, trapped in the titty twister.
That's right. I will watch that. I will watch that movie. Absolutely.
I love the way as well when they're at the bar and Danny Trejo, they're speaking to him. He doesn't like the group. He's like, no, this is only for bikers and truckers, this bar. And the way Harvey Keitel gets out his license and he's like, I am a trucker. And I'm thinking, this guy's not going to just go, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, he's just like, oh, I didn't see the fine print. Oh, go right ahead, sir.
I imagine that would antagonize him even more. Like, well, you're not a real trucker, damn it.
Yeah, it might be a real like, I like your moxie, old man.
But
Yeah.
also they're like, and you're a truck driver. Sure, let's let your 14 and 15-year-old children be in here too. Get them some shots.
But what I
As I recall, I believe Seth then takes his cue to go beat up somebody and take their table,
Yeah.
which is maybe part of the seal of approval. Is he's like, oh, he's rough and tumble like the rest of us. So I don't know, but that could.
No, that is a weird thing because on the way in he beats up the MC as well, which is also not laying low. But I imagine, well, around here that's what you do. That's how you get respect. So you do that, that's fine. People leave you alone then. It's a bit like going to jail. You're in prison. You get the first shot in. Nobody screws with you then.
Right.
If movies have taught me anything, that's a fact.
One thing I didn't quite get though was, I mean, I get it, but I was a bit like, well, it seems like a bit of a weird logic in like they only go for truckers because they're like, well, truckers are out by themselves driving cargo, and kind of indicating, oh, no one will know if they go missing. And I was like, they're hired by a company to deliver something. When those deliveries don't show up, they're instantly going to go trace where the hell did they go. So they'll be like the worst people for vampires to feed on.
Great point. Yes, another inconsistency with this very wacky movie.
Way to go.
Who could they feed on then that would be better?
I would say random family. It should be like a family-friendly kind of place because you're getting a bunch of people in at the same time.
Yeah.
There's going to be a whole group of them, and then you can turn families or just feast on families.
Yeah, but like
and
six
then,
people going missing at once is even more suspicious, right?
Yeah, but it could be like a good couple of days before people go like, oh yeah, they went on holiday, but now they're not back or whatever. Whereas the truck driver's going to be like, that shipment was due in this morning. Where the hell is the guy? And then there's going to be like, well, there's only one place he could have stopped. I guess it would be the titty twister.
Yeah, true. Oh, we've ruined the whole movie. We might as well stop.
No.
Oh, no, jeez. But the kid, I don't remember the son's name. The son is, he's thoroughly enjoying this bar. He's enjoying the ladies, shall we say? And Tarantino, I don't know if I just call him Tarantino. I'm not even calling him his character. Offers to pay for a lap dance for him, which I found in front of his dad. That's so bizarre. Yeah, it's a bit like when I went to Bangkok and I just had ladies coming out of alleyways offering services, and it's like I'm with my mum and dad. This is weird. This is a very peculiar situation.
Yeah. Well, they're criminals, They're trying to get everybody on the same page, I guess.
Yeah.
What is
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
It's
And
I know she's Kate. And the son is, I don't know.
This is embarrassing. Scott.
We'll go with that. We'll go with Scott.
Yes, Scott.
Actually, something earlier on that I really liked, even though it's supposed to show you how offensive and crude Clooney can be as well, is when he does first take them hostage and he walks in and sees Scott and the dad, and the first thing he like, what's the story with you two? You a couple of, I'm gonna have to just say it now, you a couple of fags.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, whoa, Jesus Christ.
He comes in hot.
It doesn't feel like, I don't know. I feel like those words don't fit right in Clooney's mouth, though. Even when I see him say it, I'm like, what did you just say?
Yeah.
Like,
It's shocking.
Yeah.
It's shocking.
That's what I mean, though. Like, words don't fit right in his mouth. Because we know him as such a lovable guy, Clooney, now, his modern day persona. That's why so much of it, like, he's not gonna kill anybody. Like, he's Clooney. Like, I can buy him in, like, the Ides of March, where he's, like, corrupt politician for some reason. Because, like, that's, like, blue-collar thievery. Or blue-collar menace. But this is like, I don't know, man. The tattoo didn't suit him to me. It seemed like George Clooney wouldn't have a neck tattoo. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I think he's a guy trying to find his niche still. And it's just like he's hovering over it here, but he's not quite landed on it. And having to come out with some of the Tarantino-esque, exceptionally crude dialogue is just like, yeah, it doesn't quite suit him, you know?
It is weird. You think it's a reaction or like like he's trying to run away from his ER persona, like the squeaky clean?
1,000%. That's what it is.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Definitely that's what it is. But at this point now, we also get the appearance of one of the greatest character names I've ever seen, Santanico Pandemonium.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah.
Selma Hayek appears with the classic Britney Spears snake draped over her shoulders, like, it's Selma, bitch, just wandering around.
I'll address the snake thing, but let me just say first off, oh, my God, I'm in love. Yeah, when I first saw how old would I have been when I first watched this? Like 14 or something as well. Especially good when you're 14. But the snake thing, I've never understood it. Is it what's the appeal? Is it supposed to be kind of because snakes slither, which is inherently a sensual kind of motion? Is it like a phallic symbol?
I think it's a phallic symbol. I think it's
100%.
women taming dicks.
A dangerous, powerful, dangerous thing. It's also Adam and Eve. People love that.
Oh yes, I didn't think of that. Yeah,
like this really naughty thing. Yeah, very.
Her foot is the apple, and Richie does eat from it.
There you go.
Because he is munching on those toes at one point.
I was just cringing during that. I was like, poor Salma. She's so fabulous, and she has to stick her foot in Quentin Tarantino's mouth.
Hey, at least it's only a foot. You know?
I was also distracted in the background too, because I think her butt's in Clooney's direction, and I think he doesn't know where to look. 'Cause it's like
my eyes were completely on Clooney in that moment. I don't think he's acting. I think he's just reacting to Salma Hayek. But I mean,
it's awkward. Yeah, like do you pretend like do you be really into it? What do you do? What's respectful in this situation? I don't know.
Yeah, it's Santanico Pandemonium. You pay homage to her.
Yeah. Well, we all want to.
Yeah. Because Santanico is named apparently after a 1975 nunsploitation movie called Santanico Pandemonium. And just seeing the words nunsploitation made my week.
That's the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's nuns versus the devil through sex somehow.
What's it called?
La Sexorcista.
La Sexorcista. Wow.
Amazing.
But of course, a couple of other, we mentioned Tom Savini. We mentioned Trejo. There, among the other amazing cast members, Selma Hayek there as well.
Fred Williamson.
Yeah.
I can't believe we got one of the best blaxploitation actors.
Oh yeah.
Of our time.
And his delivery of "I was in numb," pulling the cigar.
Oh God.
Fred.
I was obsessed with that whole face.
Oh, that was just one of the. I was howling laughing as soon as he said it. Started going into a non-flashback. I couldn't help but think of Black Dynamite just because it's expecting it to be like, why Black Dynamite? Why?
It's good, and then it cuts like away to a wide as Tom Savini is changing, and it's hilarious because it cuts out of Fred's audio, and you just see Fred like telling the story, which is clearly extremely violent and traumatic.
He's getting like really into telling it too. He's like getting properly overly animated about it. You're like, what the hell happened in this story?
He is brilliant though, Fred Williamson.
I love
But he
him so
turns
much.
in like 2 seconds.
He's one of the fast turns.
He turns so fast.
I've always had a problem with that in zombie movies and things. And let's go with The Walking Dead, which nobody watches anymore. You know, when it suits the plot, someone will change quickly.
Right.
Mm.
Same special effects.
But then if you want it to be like a whole episode about them turning, suddenly it takes like a full hour.
Yeah.
Someone that gets...
Right. If it's a main character and they want to drag it out, then it takes much longer. It's Kurtzman?
Nicotero
Oh, Greg Nicotero. Duh.
did Walking Dead and Dusk Till Dawn,
Right.
but not Tom Savini and not
No.
Kurtzman.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, when Savini actually, reveals his name, what's your name? Sugar. He says, Kate. What's your sex machine? During that whole fight, I noticed in the debris was a bunch of tarot cards.
Oh.
So using my minute by minute brain, I decided to look at the cards and zoom in and things. And I did spy the Three of Wands, which is a card about looking ahead, rapid growth and expansion.
Oh.
It represents the transformation of dreams into concrete plans and preparation for action.
Huh.
As you look to the possible obstacles in your path, you remain dedicated to your pursuit and ready to traverse your boundaries, which I thought kind of set up what's about to happen. Things are going to get even crazier. They're going to have to take action. They're going to have to prepare. There's going to be many obstacles in their path. It all fits. They've chosen that card deliberately, I think. That's not an accident.
All right. I buy it.
Yeah. You never know, Robert Rodriguez might keep some tarot cards in that cowboy hat of his, Just gets him out whenever he's stressed.
He's totally a guy who likes his tarot. I can imagine that.
Oh. I think, Natasha, didn't you say you had a Robert Rodriguez
I
story?
do have a Robert Rodriguez story. He's lovely, first of all. Lovely, lovely guy. So I was on-screen talent for a branded piece, I believe, for OnStar.
Oh.
The car thing. I don't even really understand what OnStar is, but anyway, they did a series that is like a 2 professionals, one like older and more established, and then like a more up and coming. Obviously, I was the up and coming, and Rodriguez was the very much established filmmaker. But it's us sitting in the back of a car having a conversation, and that was basically like the idea of the piece or whatever.
Amazing.
And that's not the cool part of the story. So the cool part is he was prepping Battle Angel Alita at the time, and we went to his compound outside of Austin, which is an old airport. People probably already know this, but he basically transformed an old airport into his Troublemaker Studios, and it's super cool. So you're basically like driving up, and it's this whole, basically like a lot that he created in the middle of Texas out of an old airport. And so they were actually building sets for Battle Angel Alita, and a lot of them were still standing. Now, the context for this is I'm a huge Alita fan and had actually made a fan film for Battle Angel Alita. I think like a few months before we went and did this. So obviously I brought it up and I was like, hey, I'm a huge Alita fan. I'm really looking forward to your movie, blah, blah, blah. And he kind of like gives me a look and he's like, do you want to see it? And I was like, hell yeah.
Oh,
So I walked with Robert, through all these crazy sets of, the town and the city and Ido's shop and all these really cool sets. Just like talking about cool sci-fi cyborg stuff together. And it was really great. And I thought it was really sweet and charming and just like really lovely because he didn't have to do that, but he knew deep down, he's just like, he's a fan like the rest of us. I think he just really wanted to nerd out about that cool stuff. So it was awesome. And then we did the shoot and then we went and ate at his restaurant and it was super fun.
Awesome.
he's got a restaurant?
Yeah, he's got a restaurant in Austin. I don't remember what it's called, but it was delicious. And I remember the churros were especially good. But
it's not called the Titty Twister, is it?
yeah, right?
He employs Cheech Marin to just stand outside shouting stuff at people.
He's a really big part of the Austin community. Like I think in the food community, obviously like music, he supports a lot of local musicians. He himself is a musician. And honestly, he was just really great, and you could just sort of, sometimes you can just tell like, oh, this dude is real. Like, even if he goes off and does Star Wars and whatever, like he'll always be Robert from the block. So anyway,
Oh.
that's my Robert Rodriguez story. We walked through the sets of Battle Angel Alita together, and it was totally dope.
My
Awesome.
friend I work with is obsessed with the movie. I've never seen it. I've never seen it. He's given me it, and I just haven't had the time. And every single like Monday, he'll go, "Did you watch it over the weekend yet?" I'm like, "No, sorry." He's literally sat and watched it every day for like 2 weeks.
Mm.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
It's got some interesting stuff in it. Some choices that are maybe not the choices I would have made, but
Yeah.
I fully intend to see it. Don't worry. Robert Rodriguez is one of my favorites, so I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, I think it was my introduction to Rosa Salazar, that movie. And I remember the time being like, oh yeah, they really overly animated these eyes. And then you see her and realize, like, oh no, she just has huge eyes as well. Like, that's
They haven't done much
part of why
to
she was
them,
cast, I guess.
She is really crazy and expressive, which is part of my like, well, did we really need to do this whole CG thing? Like, why not just have her be herself? She already looks so much like the character.
Yeah, good point.
Was that in that show Undone? It's like, why are people constantly trying to paint over Rosa Salazar? Just let her act, for God's sake.
I know, let her do her thing. But
This is another bit you're gonna have to edit, Niall. I apologize. There's a great line when Clooney's doing his big speech about the vampires, and he wants our preacher here to become an actual preacher again. Bless the tap water, and he comes out with a cracking line of, "Are you a faithless preacher, or are you a mean motherfucker servant of God?" Oh, that is gold.
Oh man.
The one-liners, that's part of the reason why I love this movie so much, is that's that rock and roll feel. My favorite is still, what's her name, Sex Machine. That's still like, I loved it so much. I was so jealous that I've never written a character named Sex Machine, and I feel like I have that now.
Well,
but I'm gonna do something similar. I loved it so much.
The best thing about that as well to me is the way he delivers it completely straight. Like, yeah, that's my
Right.
name, Sex Machine.
Yeah, I think it's too that Juliette Lewis just perfectly accepted too. Like, okay, that's a rational name for a person to have.
Well,
Why
it's
not?
his chosen name. You don't want to dead name him. It's fine.
That's true. He's also one of the most altruistic characters in the movie, considering that almost everybody in this movie is terrible, with the exception of like Keitel, Juliette Lewis, and Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a real, like, don't judge a book by its cover, because you assume he's going to be a sleazebag, and it turns out, like, no, he seems like he's a genuinely good dude for the most part.
You would automatically think, well, Sex Machine's going to be a creep.
I know, but I love it. I also love that it's like, it implies the dude is really, really good at sex, and you just kind of go, yeah, I bet he's a gentle lover.
Yeah, that's the thing. The name might make you think, oh, he's like, he's aggressive. But it's like, no, I actually think his character would be a lot more loving.
Yeah, exactly. I'm curious to know what you guys think about like the purpose. We kind of touched on this earlier, but the purpose of the bar itself, because what makes sense to me that I think is very, very cool is the idea of where do vampires go to hang out when they want to go have a good time? Well, there are these bars that are only open from dusk till dawn. And that's just like, it's their dive bar. It's where they hang. But you would think that they wouldn't let civilians in there. But clearly they do. Sex Machine is in there, and Fred Williamson is in there. And they're regulars. And they're regulars. So how do they not know? Or do they know and they're cool with it? Or like, what makes them accepted? Did they have to pass some kind of a test? Clearly they drive motorcycles or trucks, because that's what it takes to get in. But you do not have to be a vampire to get in.
Right.
That's what's insane to me, because like it's inviting trouble, letting in normal humans, right?
Yeah.
Something's going to happen eventually.
It's either inviting trouble or it's inviting dinner. But the existence of people like Sex Machine and Fred Williamson implies that they're not only inviting humans in to eat them, because again, they seem like they're regulars.
Maybe they're not, though. Maybe they just are people who are rolling in for the first time and they just make themselves comfortable.
Biker bar's a biker bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's not cool. When I roll into strange cities, I could just roll right into
Flip
a biker
out your
bar.
metal.
Just flip out my metal. I'm as cool as Sex Machine, I promise.
I kind of like the idea that Sex Machine and Frost, Fred Williamson's character, is like, oh, they know, and they're cool that they've got a deal, like, as long as you're out by 11:30, we won't eat you. But then they're like, oh, god damn it, we missed the deadline. Oh shit, and then just have to like, better load up, because now it's Vampire Town.
It's like they don't turn when the sun goes down. They turn at 11:30. It's like
That's a fallacy. Yeah, it's never when the sun goes down. It's a very specific time. Yeah.
Wow, I completely missed that. I didn't realize that that's why they all turned. I thought it was just because Santanico Pandemonium got attacked.
But I do think that's correct. I think, and that's where it's a little. I think that's a little tricky because they do say you got to be out by 11:30, which implies that that's when the crazy shit goes down. Like everything gets turned up after 11:30. However, the actual turn is because she gets attacked, and then everyone's like, "Fuck it, go."
Right.
But
To
you
get
don't
out the
screw
body
with her, you know.
Get out the body base. It's time to party.
Well, when they're preparing for the final battle and we get that super cool shotgun cross.
There's so many little things, like the amount of little ideas that are like, I don't know if Tarantino had them written down like way in advance, like someday I'm going to use this in a movie.
Probably.
But like just little things like putting the shotgun through Fred Williamson's chest and then using him to pump it again.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Just like the shotgun cross.
Holy
just like
water
the
super soaker.
The holy water super soaker, the condom, holy water balloons.
Pneumatic steak.
But it always struck me in writing the notes when I noted them doing carving the X in the bullet. And I was like, oh, I guess that's a reference to Taxi Driver, because I know there's a whole scene we see Travis carving X's in this bullets. And I was like, I looked up why did they do that? And apparently it's to...
They're meant to be crosses, I think, like a holy cross.
That would make sense.
Well, that only dawned on me way after. It was like, oh no, it's a cross. Yeah, that's why they're doing it. But apparently it is a thing that some people do, because Travis does do it in Taxi Driver, and apparently it's supposed to destabilize the casing so much that when the bullet enters, it will shatter apart. So it will do like even more damage than a normal bullet would do. But so I was like, oh, they've really thought ahead with this. And then I was like, oh no, it's a cross. Like that's what they've done. So.
Wow, that's crazy. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All of these weapons are gold, though, and I don't. That's if I'm going to criticize the movie, I don't think some of these weapons get their due. They don't get enough time on screen. I want to see that super soaker for a full hour.
Maybe now I can kind of understand why they made it into a TV show, because like instantly I loved Sex Machine and instantly I loved Fred Williamson. And then they only really get about maybe 15 minutes of screen time overall. And you're like, yeah, I really wish I saw more of those guys. But then, maybe less is more sometimes. Whereas it's like, no, you just get that little gem.
That's true. Like, that's true.
Tragically, they're gone.
You can easily overdo these things. And
Poker, though, we definitely needed at least like 15 more shots of that thing. So.
Yeah. Well, we do get one kind of extra shot of Savini when Clooney, during the massacre, pulls his head off, and then he turns into like El Chupacabra or something. Like, what the hell's this vampire he's become?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is pretty looking, huh?
Yeah.
It goes down that Fright Night route of like, I think at one point then like a car just turns into a big dog, and you're like, is this I guess Dracula turned into a wolf, so
right.
I guess, it was a big it's vampires, I guess, I'll work with it.
Yeah,
but
in this world you've already established the vampires are just like weird looking monsters. He's like, okay, fine.
Yeah, they're more like humans or something, right? Like they're
Yeah. I know, Natasha, you at the minute you're working on
I am
like a vampire movie, kind of, but that's because I know you're working on Abraham's Boys, which
is not like this at all.
Oh,
well, I mean, it's not too late. You can be midway through the movie, they could just like, whoa, look at this new bar they've built, the Titty Twister. Let's go and check it out.
Let's meet this character, Sex Machine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, maybe there's a way to get Sex Machine into Abraham's Boys. That would be ultimate. That would be ultimate.
Put him in everything. Just across genres. Doesn't matter. I want to see him.
Yeah, he needs to.
I want to watch that guy go grocery shopping.
Let's do it.
Yeah, totally very different vampire movie, but it is interesting. We all have to follow the same rules, and I don't know about everyone else right now, but I get really irritated personally when vampire movies break vampire rules. Like it really bothers me. So.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to hate this, but every rule they went against in Twilight angered me when I was sat watching the film.
Right.
I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, there's no downside to being a vampire in Twilight. So, you sparkle a little bit.
What's the problem?
You'd be like a model. There's no negative.
Yeah. Well, that now I'm really intrigued to see, because I've read it, people don't know Abraham's Boys is a Joe Hill story. It's Joe Hill, the son of Stephen King.
Correct.
And like it's basically about the kids of Van Helsing. It's like a sequel to Dracula in a weird way.
Right.
But you're saying, because I was intrigued at the end, because I was like, oh, it leaves things very open to interpretation. But now you're saying that there's definitely going to be vampires in it. So I'm like, oh, I'm intrigued to see where this is going now.
Is that what I'm saying? Question mark.
Yeah, is it? I don't know.
I will disclose no further details.
Of course,
Totally
of course.
fine. Don't worry.
But it's been really fun living in the sort of vampire mythology, and I had read Dracula many years ago, but I went back in obviously and did a much more detailed read through, and that shit is pretty crazy. That book is nuts. You can totally see how people really lost their minds when that came out. It must have been like a real trip to.
Oh yeah, I always forget about the structure of it as well, like the way it's written, with like letters and things.
Yeah, it's found footage.
There's never really been a movie interpretation, to my knowledge, that's stuck to the formula.
The Coppola movie is loyal in a lot of ways, or at least it starts that way because it's Jonathan Harker's journal.
Yeah, I think it's the closest.
It's the closest. It's very loyal.
And you get people, though, complaining, going, oh, they added in a love story, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, okay. But all the other stuff in it is stuff that, like, the Bela Lugosi one, it's got nothing to do with the book. At least this has got most of the book.
Yeah. No, the Coppola is the most. I actually love that movie. I'm a big defender of that movie.
Yes.
But it is the closest, most loyal adaptation.
Well, actually, speaking of vampires again, the vampires strike here,
Yeah.
and Keitel turns and bites his own son, and his son manages to take him down. But the vamps then grab him and bite him. And
I kind of wanted the kids to make it through, but that's life, baby.
Yeah.
I thought that, I mean, it was a really bold move to have only one of them survive. But he comes out with a line that intrigued me, because he turns to her when he's been bitten, he's bleeding everywhere, and he says, "Kill me, Kate." And I was thinking, is it supposed to be like that, "Kiss me, Kate"?
What is
So he's
that?
dying of breath. Like that was a reference to "Kiss Me, Kate."
It's got to be, right? Because it's too similar.
Is that a musical?
It is.
I mean, yeah. Kill me, Kate. Yeah.
Yeah, "Kiss me, Kate, kill me,
But
Kate."
Tarantino realized that way too late, and he's just like, I can't change it now. Oh God, they're like having to go through the script and change every time Kate's written to, like, I don't know, Cleo or something.
But then it's also sending a strange message of, like, if it does mean that, is it implying this character likes his stepsister?
You're really reading into this.
Hey, I'm used to doing it minute by minute. We have to.
I'll just say, not stepsister, actual sister, just not biologically.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
They have the. So are they both adopted? I couldn't tell. I guess it doesn't
No,
matter.
I think it's supposed to be. I think there's a line in there about how it was just him.
So
Yeah.
her mother is the woman who died
Right.
and sent Harvey Keitel away from the path of believing
Correct.
God.
But they
Yes.
don't really get into. I actually love that they don't really get into the process of the adoption, because it's not the point. I love that there's a whole thing about, like, what's the story about this, and it's like, there's no story. That's my son.
Yeah,
like,
it's
I like
not
that.
relevant almost. It's like, hey, he's my son.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, as it should be. Totally.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Yeah. And that made me like the preacher more too. Like, oh, he's cool.
Yeah.
Right. Which is also part of what makes that ending moment so tragic. Is like,
Yeah.
they've got this great thing where it's, their father, son, blood doesn't matter. Oh, again, we're getting into blood, I guess. But
Yeah.
blood doesn't
Oh.
Yeah.
and but they end up killing each other.
Right. Which is sort of tragic. And I'm not sure what's Kate's arc in this movie, because she keeps wanting to go home, right?
But at the end, she wants to go with
him.
George Clooney.
Yeah.
Well, she's got nothing at home anymore.
Well, that's yeah.
Is it Seth Gecko? I was expecting in the end Seth to be like, "All right, kid, come with me."
Yeah, like a desperado.
Yeah,
But
and that sets up the sequel, right?
Right.
Mm.
But I
kind of like that it went away from that though, because
I think it's great that they went away from it, except for the fact that George Clooney, in pure bad guy fashion, just left this 16-year-old alone in Mexico on the side of the road.
That's a good point. She needs someone to help her.
you can make your way back from the Mexican border to wherever you're going.
Well, he does give her a big wad of cash, to be fair.
True.
Yeah, that's true.
So at least she's got something to play with here.
Maybe she restarts the titty twister, becomes like cleans it up, turns it into a legitimate business.
Oh my god, that's the sequel. There you go. Well, then again, we find out there's an ancient Aztec temple kind of at the back.
Right.
It's like no one has ever looked in the back of the titty twister. Like no one driving past in the days been like, oh, what's that huge temple that goes down a whole mountain?
I love that. That's what I'm talking about. It's just chaotic energy that has like no real.
But it knows it and it embraces it, and that's what I love about it.
And that's what's great.
Yeah. If it was trying to hold on to its logic too much, I don't know. I'm a big fan of movies that amp up the crazy and then they just roll with it and they go, you like absurd? We're about to get 10 times more absurd. Let's go.
I think that's why I love this movie so much is because it's batshit crazy. Like it is nothing but fun. Like the whole thing says, yeah, this is just nutso. Like I can't understand why anyone wouldn't like it.
It perhaps is how some people would describe the George Clooney Batman movies.
That's why I like Batman and Robin. I defended it all last season on the show, and I'm going to defend it now. It's fun. It's crazy. It's over the top. It's silly. It's a good time.
Mm. Yeah. Although speaking of Batman and Robin, though, one scene did really spring to mind in the middle of this when Seth has to take on Santanico Pandemonium, and he's at her feet.
Oh yeah,
and he's like, I think she says like, "Oh, prepare to be my lapdog for the rest of your time." And he says something.
It's fun.
No, can I be a slave instead, please?
The way though, it really reminded me of the scene in Batman and Robin where Batman's lying on the bags of snowflakes or whatever from in the ice cream factory, and poison ivy is coming onto him. It's the same kind of positioning of him lying on the floor. And then he says like, oh, why are all the beautiful ones homicidal maniacs? Is it me? And we were like, oh, that's in reference to Catwoman. It could be Clooney been like, oh, every time, damn it, I'm in this position.
You're an insane person and you draw other crazy insane people to you. You just can't.
Well, when she does say that, when she does say that, she finishes it now with "Welcome to slavery," and he comes out with a line that is both hilarious and very inappropriate. I would say, he goes, "No thanks, I already had a wife."
Oh yeah,
that
was 1990. What year was this?
When humor was all about how much you hate your spouse.
Apparently, that was a Clooney improv as well. He did that, and then Robert Rodriguez had no intention of using it in the film, but they put it in the trailer. So he's like, I guess we have to put it in the film now.
Character, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That character would say that.
There was something happening at the time, too, though. In the 90s, there was a running joke in, like, media about men being miserable in their marriages. There's a whole show called Married with Children about that concept.
That's the entire gag, is that he doesn't even want to sleep with his insanely gorgeous wife. He's like, no, God damn it, I hate her.
Yeah. Apparently, as of today, too, they announced that Married with Children is coming back in animated form. And it's like all the original cast are coming back to reprise the roles. It's like, but it's a cartoon now.
Oh, my Lord. Okay.
So I think that was what the world needed in 2022. Married with Children.
Hell yeah. One of my style icons throughout my entire life is Peg Bundy.
Me too. Same. Absolutely.
Yeah. Just trying to think of it, because we're pretty much at the end of the movie. I'm trying to think if there's any other notes I wanted to bring up.
Well, the bat.
One thing I should mention.
The drove of bats that then Fred Williamson is apparently like able to control, kind of.
That was a great shot. That's an amazing shot, though, of like him pointing and them all swarming towards them and stuff.
I thought that was one of the strongest shots in the movie. And this is the thing about Robert Rodriguez is you think you've seen it all with him, and then he comes through with these really great action sequences that are just like really creative and have so much momentum. And I just really like sometimes the creativity he brings to those like weird action moments. So I like that shot a lot.
That's a great shot. I'm trying to think, I mean,
It's great.
the only other things I've got is like some more lines that I really like that I didn't get to bring up is when the family are asking, where are you taking us? Mexico. What's in Mexico? Mexicans. I was like, that's a great line.
Yeah, that's a very that's Tarantino.
Yeah. I think I just wanted to bring. It's more of a recommendation than anything, but apparently this was Tarantino's first assigned writing job. Like, usually do spec scripts, but he was actually hired to write this. And it was originally deemed to be a sequel to Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight.
I can see that, totally.
Well, that's an amazing movie, Demon Knight.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I think that they opted out of it and then made Bordello of Blood, which is similar but not as good. And it's like, oh man, you really could have had something though with like how you make From Dusk Till Dawn better. Get the Crypt Keeper introducing it, like it's coming in and like, how about a striptease that goes down to the bone?
I need to see Tarantino and Rodriguez's take on the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, I
the
think
Crypt Keeper just needs to be back in general. Remember, M. Night Shyamalan was going to bring back Tales from the Crypt, and he said no Crypt Keeper, and the world just went, "Oh, I'm not watching that."
Yeah,
then.
it's the entire purpose of it. You need it.
Yeah,
Kind of latched on to Creep Show coming back instead, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I enjoyed.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
The Crypt Keeper. Yeah.
No one will make it better though.
Crypt Keeper.
But yeah, I know you guys are pressed for time, so we won't keep you too much longer. But I mean, I'm.
I was just saying it was a pleasure to talk about all this stuff with you, and we'll come and talk about vampires anytime.
I truly love that movie. I forgot.
of course.
Hey. We'll have to have you both on as a duo for Batminute or something like that. We'll figure it out.
I mean, we will be back next season for Mask of the Phantasm, which is another more horror-inflected sort of picture that this time.
A lot of people, and I agree, say that's one of the strongest Batman movies, and I definitely agree with that.
I would agree as well. Like, I think we're hopping from one of the worst in Batman and Robin to literally one of the best then straight after. So.
As the listeners might know, because we started this show like 5 years ago now, I have consciously never watched it because I'm saving it for the show.
Ooh.
So I've got it ready to roll. I've got it ripped into minutes and everything, but I have yet to see it by choice.
Yeah,
I want it to be fresh.
Actually, here's another full circle for you. I saw Mask of the Phantasm. I saw it as a little kid, but then as an adult, I saw it again. Really felt like the first time because I was watching it as an adult at the New Beverly, which is, of course, Quentin Tarantino's movie theater here in LA.
Ah, beautiful.
Again, another
beautiful.
circle of life.
I love all the
Yeah, I mean, one other thing I should bring up, though, just for a little bit of interconnectivity as well, is, of course, Juliette Lewis is the daughter of a legendary character actor, Jeffrey Lewis, who is in Salem's Lot, which is a movie based on a book by Stephen King. And Stephen King's son wrote the material that Natasha Kermani is currently adapting.
Oh.
So, hey!
Oh my God.
so much.
Very good.
Well,
Very good.
on that amazing, incredible, wonderful bombshell, we'll head off into not the dark night, because we get bitten by vampires. We'll head off into the light of day. Would our wonderful guests like to plug anything, promote anything, or just say where you can be found online? Whatever you want.
Oh boy, I didn't even think about this. Go vote, because it's really important. And if people are listening to this in the United States, things are getting really crazy. So I'm going to plug, go vote in your local elections.
Hey, most of our listeners are American, so do it.
Yeah, the movies will still be there when you get home. Go get your vote in. It's important.
I'm like, do I talk about movies that I want people to go see? What do I say?
Oh yeah, you can recommend a movie. Yeah,
Anything you want. You can recommend anything you're working on, or just stuff you like. It's okay.
Go watch The Night House on HBO Max.
Excellent film. One of my favorite horror movies of all time.
Yeah, that's the what's her name? Rebecca
Hall.
Rebecca Hall.
That's it. Yeah.
I will co-sign on that as well. And yeah, I guess you can follow us on Instagram if you want. I think we both have public.
Yeah, mine's pretty boring. It's just a bunch of pictures of my dog, but he's real cute. Mine is
Her dog.
at Z Martin.
Although I know, Zoe, Natasha mentioned you are working on a project. I'm sure you can't tell us anything substantial about it,
I
but
think you can. It's public. now.
I can't talk about any of the details, but the Colin Farrell Penguin show for spinoff is we are in the writers' room right now.
that is amazing because he was a big fan of that movie, and of course he was one of the highlights as well.
He was one of my favorite parts, and I was expecting not to like his penguin, and I was blown away. So.
We are underway in the writers' room for that, and it has been a blast so far.
So stay tuned for the Penguin show on HBO. Not that
they need us to plug that in. Exactly.
No, but you know what? We're probably going to end up covering it episode by episode, I reckon. So.
Oh, definitely, 100%, definitely will be.
You'll have to have Zoe back.
Hell yeah.
I would.
I was just almost trying to get like Zoe to like try to get a detail out, like who's going to play Crazy Quilt in it? Come on, give us something, anything.
Before Niall starts harassing our guests, we will go as usual. Come and speak to us on Facebook at the Batminute Listeners Cave, Twitter at Batminute, Instagram the Batminute. I know you like it when I say it that way, Niall. And why not check out our network, Sleepy Charlie Media, on Patreon. And on TeePublic if you want some merchandise. And you know what? I'm going to plug it now. Our new show, Miami Minutes, where we talk about Miami Connection 1 minute at a time. Go and listen to that as well. As of recording, we've got one episode out, which is the preview episode. But the whole thing's coming soon, people. So check that out. And do join us again. We'll be back with more exciting Bat-Minute hiatus action. What are we covering? I'm not going to tell you. You've got to tune in. Bye-bye.
On the wall, from dusk till dawn. Bang, bang, bang on the wall, from dusk till dawn.
We'll be back.